I am saddened by the realization that solidarity, meaning the collective effort of different groups for a common cause, is seldomly realized. But more often than not, we are still fighting imperialist and colonial hierarchies in the order of importance of said hierarchy, meaning that when white people protest, we will support them. When Arab people protest, we will all support them before we protest and aid the protests and the movements of African people or Asian people. Because during the George Floyd movement, for example, in 2020, Hong Kong understood that the police is an oppressive force, and they knew that the death of an African American man overseas is linked to the same forces that the ones that oppress them in their sovereignty and in their freedoms and expression of these freedoms. So Asians could link arms with black people, but we didn't link arms with them. Not meaning the African Americans, because I'm here in Germany and I'm Congolese, but all ethnicities, all groups, all leftist agendas, all freedom movements. And we didn't know about what they were going through, why they were going through it. We didn't care. We just wanted to say F the police in our city, and we didn't even understand what was up with the rest of the world. So of course all these movements had to die down because we never mobilized, we never organized, we never had coordinated movements. It's sad to see that people only cared about Black Lives for summer because they were bored and had nothing better to do during a pandemic. But here we are. And same again with Palestine. I'm happy for my Palestinian brothers and sisters. People who know me know I've always been a Christian and anti-Zionist because religiously or spiritually I'm grateful for what the Jews have done or even not done in order to give the Christianity or the faith in Christ through Jesus to the Gentiles. But I always knew I wouldn't enlist in the army. I would never do that. That's just not me, even though I wear green. But I wear the green of hope and agriculture. And that's why I'm just saying that it's great that we support them. I'm really happy about that. I'm happy about all the awareness and that we found ways to convey to the blind masses that this has been going on for all these centuries and decades and years of propaganda and of organized violence and illegitimate seizing of lands. But there are other atrocities happening, governed and sanctioned and plotted by the same world powers, by the same power structures. And we don't connect the dots. We don't say that's why people in China are suffering, that's why people in Russia are suffering, or that's why things look awry in Pakistan or in India or in New Zealand, or Hawaii should be an independent kingdom. Why do we allow Americans to colonize it and make the tourism on it and own acres of land as if it was their land? Of course, I will never forget the African continent because as a Congolese, I'm happy that you talk about it, but I'm also sad that you only say Free Congo and then you do all the awareness program, all these talks and this information and what you can do and all these Operation Olive Branch stuff. It's only for Palestinians. I didn't say Ukraine because I'm happy that people saw other fellow Europeans as in being in danger and you helped the greatest I've ever seen Europe help any nation. I'm not surprised why. Y'all can think that white people support white people, but war is war, and if you flee, you flee. And I don't want people not to get the spotlight or not to get any attention and consideration as human being because you don't like their skin color, because you have found a way to prioritize people and say that the needs of those people are more important than the needs of these people. Meanwhile, even Ukrainians were racist and didn't allow black Iranians or black people that were studying or living in Ukraine to enter these trains that would go to the west to flee the situation. That's why the anti-blackness is strong everywhere. Another example is when Afghanistan was under the rule of the Pakistan and the Taliban. I'm sorry, I had to get my baby. They were ordered to take flights to I think it was Uganda or Rwanda in East Africa, and people refused. They say they'd rather die at the hands of the Taliban than live in peace or live in, well, stay alive over there in Africa. So being alive over there was beneath them. Another example of anti-blackness. So when you see all these black people from Africa getting a smartphone and telling you how they're suffering and telling you that it's real and showing you these camps and all these humanitarian organizations confirming the news and saying it's a dire situation, people just scoff and people just shrug and say, well, it's Africa, somebody has to suffer, and they're just known for never being well off. When we all know in fact why. Because we can criticize Palestine all day long, but the same people, the same powers, the same states that do that also have hurt Africa. With the trades, with the human trafficking, with the colonization, with them giving them independence, but still coming back as investors, still undercutting their freedom movements and still using puppet kings and puppet presidents. We all know it, but we don't care because we profit out of it. Now we want to have the moral high ground and say, oh, Palestine is different, we finally woken up. But we have not woken up because it will bore us and we will move on to something else. And it will only be the really affected people and people that really have a heart of gold that will keep talking about it, will keep thinking about it, will keep letting this atrocity cause an inner turmoil in the heart and cause Weltschmerz in the heart, while the rest will just,